Hey guys, this is Jason with MuseGrid.com, and in this video I'm going to give you an overview of Adobe Spark, and in particular, Adobe Spark Pages. Now, an Adobe Spark page, I'll just open one up here as an example, is a way for you to tell a compelling content story. And what that specifically means is that, so take for example this Angela Houston, this person, she's a marketing and advertising professional. She has went into Adobe Spark Pages and created a really amazing page that talks about her, like her interests, talks about like her case studies, who she's worked with, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, as I scroll down through this site, you can imagine that this is a really nice page that's been created that as I'm kind of scrolling down through it, it's really more of a story that I'm consuming than it is necessarily just a quote-unquote web page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can create an Adobe Spark page, and then in a subsequent video show you how you can go take this page and embed it inside of your Adobe Muse web pages in a number of different ways. So let's dive into this tutorial and give you a complete breakdown of Adobe Spark Pages. Okay, so to create our first Spark page, we obviously need to understand like what we're creating a Spark page for. So in my particular example I'm going to give you today is that of a compelling photo gallery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this plus button here at the top, and I'm going to click this option in the middle for page. Now you see that there were a couple of other options for Adobe Spark, but we're only going to focus on page today. So what it's going to ask us to do right off the bat is to add a title, and I'm going to call this we're going to call this Mountain Adventure, something like that. Okay, and then we'll say something like after spending 5 days in the Rockies. Something like that. Okay, so I'm in the Rocky Mountains. Okay, so what I want to do now that I have a title and a subtitle for this, which by the way is required for every Spark page, this is kind of the baseline structure to at least start a page, is to give it a title and a very clear sense of direction of like what this page is about. And then, you can include a subtitle. You don't have to, but I did just so that we could fill everything out. Okay, so now that I have that created, it's now asking, well, let's just add a photo. Okay, now I hope you know I really didn't spend 5 days in the Rockies, so I'm just going to go to Adobe Stock and find some photos of mountains, right? But obviously you can upload your own photos or any number of different ways here. You could use Adobe Stock if you wanted. I would say most likely you're probably going to use your own photography, so you can obviously integrate in with Creative Cloud, Lightroom, Dropbox, and Google Photos. But for me, I'm going to stick with Adobe Stock because, well, I have no photos, so I have to get them from somewhere to show this example. So I'm going to open up Adobe Stock, and I'm just going to do a quick search, and I'm going to search for mountains. Okay, we'll just let that return back some results really quick, hopefully really quick. There we go. And so what I'm going to do is just choose something that I think, I don't know, is reflective of my trip. So I'm going to choose this one right here. And as you can see, all it did is I selected it and immediately brought it in to my Adobe Spark page and created this really beautiful kind of like panoramic looking photo that gives some context to my title, of course. Now, one of the things that you can do is as this page is responsive, it's obviously going to adjust based on the width of the device that you're on. So one of the things that you can do is identify a focal point so that irregardless of how big the device is, the focal point of the background image will always be intact no matter what. When it's big like this, it's kind of irrelevant, but whenever you scale it down, it actually matters a whole lot more. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my focal point. You can see this little dot right here in the middle. I can kind of like set the focal point wherever I want. And if you notice in the upper right-hand corner up here, you can kind of get an idea of what it would look like on a phone. So I'm going to kind of like focus in, say, on the peak of that mountain right there, something like that. So that way that shows up kind of in the middle. Okay, let's just, that looks pretty good right there, so we'll focus on that. Maybe move it over the middle. Okay, so I'm going to save that, and now I have my focal point set. Now, as you can see here, it says scroll to start writing your story. So as you scroll down, it's now going to present to you various pieces of content that you can add to your page. And it looks like I need to go get my charger here in a minute. So at any rate, what you can see is that we can come in and add all kinds of different content. So what I'm going to do, since I'm primarily focused in on making this a photo gallery, I can come in and add a photo if I want, and maybe do something like that, something that's really nice and big. I can, now that I have a photo in there, I can make it fill the screen. I can make it be kind of like a window view. I can make it be full width. I can, of course, replace it and, of course, delete it. I'm just going to go inline so it kind of stays inside the bounds of my page here. And then I'm going to come down and add some more photos. So I'm going to go, actually add a photo grid this time. And I'm going to add that photo, that one, this one, this one, this one, that one, and that one. So as you can see, like really quickly, I was able to add a photo gallery that looks pretty awesome just out of the box. So let's just pretend for a moment that, well, so this is looking pretty good. So we're happy with this. But what you can do is you can actually move these photos around by you selecting here, and I can move backwards or I can move forwards. I can, of course, do the same thing here. I can change the, I can make it a large photo. So, it's basically just expanding it out. And of course make it a small photo back again if I want. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm happy with the way that this looks. So let's just say for a moment I'm happy with my Adobe Spark page. Obviously you can see that I can add all kinds of other amazing content here, which I'm not going to go off into detail on like all of what this is, because the premise is like, how do I create a page? How do I get to the point of creating one? And then of course in a subsequent video, how do I get to the point of actually putting that in my Adobe Muse page? So here I am. I'm happy with the way that this looks. So here's what I'm going to do. One of the things I do want to do is come into my settings, and right now it says header and footer off. If you have this option, obviously by default it's already off. So you definitely want to keep this off unless you actually add branding to your Adobe page, which, as you can see in the little message, it says to use this setting, you must first complete the setup of your brand. Would you like to do that now? I'm clicking no. In essence, you can have your logo show up here and various things along those lines inside your page. But right now, it's going to have no branding whatsoever. Now, the other thing you can also do is you can change the theme, right? So you can make it into more of a storybook theme, or you can make it into Trek, Nightcap, Crisp. I don't know, find something that seems to make good sense. Let's go with Trek. That seems right. Kind of mountainy. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but there you go. Let's go with Trek. Okay, so here we are. So now that we have this created, let's share it. So we need to pick a category. This is important for Adobe Spark. So we're going to just make this be photography. And then I can put the author in, put my information in. I'm just going to leave that off right now, but you could obviously enable it just like so, and it picks up your information from your Creative Cloud account. Now, obviously for me, I have photo credits in here because I was adding Adobe stock photos, but you can obviously manually adjust any of this information. But if you're going to use Adobe stock photos, they automatically inject them in because that's what you're supposed to do. Now, the last thing is getting noticed. In my case, I'm going to just say no to that because I really don't. I'm not trying to publish it out to the Adobe Spark website. So I'll just leave it like so. And now what I'm going to do is create a link. Now, this process is actually building out the page for me right now. So now I have a link. This is what it will look like. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to open up a new tab and I'm going to paste. And I'm just going to open up my page. And this is exactly what it would look like whenever you open it up yourself, or if you shared this link. It's just beautiful. Nice, beautiful photo gallery. Obviously, there's credits down here at the bottom and all of that. But, this is just a nice, beautiful page. And it's obviously fully responsive. So we'll grab this. Oh, let's move this back here. Let's grab the window here just a bit, and we'll scale it down. So as you can see, as I'm scaling it down, man, it's beautiful. Just nice and responsive all the way up and down. I click on these photos and I can, just toggle right through them. It's nice and simple and easy, and away you go. So now that we have our Adobe Spark page created, let's go take this page and now embed it inside of our Adobe Muse website.